embryology lecture, it should be what I feel myself, that you can finish it off over here. You don't have to go back and study again, because you have other important subjects. So I will try to make it very simple and clear, and there should not be any ambiguity. The first thing, it comes to my mind, and it should come to your mind, that you are here on Wednesday, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, you will be with me. Why you should be? What is the purpose of learning this? Give me 2-3 reasons that I know that you have to pass the exam. That is not the reason that you are here. You have to get educated, and the education is linked to some other aspects. So what are those aspects? Yes.
Because there are some congenital defects.
Very good. What are the congenital defects in relation to reproductive system that you know already, or you are thinking about it? Very good. Okay, so this is your job. Like many of you will be gynae obstetrics, followed by some of you maybe even the pediatric. It's very important. The pediatric department, they deal with many of the congenital abnormalities. And one of the important part is that gynae obstetrics, those who want to go into gynae obstetrics, you deliver the baby and you hand over to a pediatrician. And then the pediatrician should not be in a hurry to give it to the parents. They must examine certain things. And I give you a couple of reasons that are very important to you. Number one, the pediatrician must feel the testes, if it's a male boy, must feel the testes inside the scrotum. And it's a mandatory. There are 5 things they do it right away. One of them is make sure that the testis is within the scrotum. If it is not, immediately you should think that it could be the undescended testis. And it is a simple operation, and you can bring the testis down to scrotum. If you don't do it, that particular little boy will be one day a 20 years old boy, and he will come back to you and take you to the court. Doctor, what did you do? I cannot produce a kid because that is infertile in a person, because the testis is inside the abdomen and it remained over there. You should not do that mistake. Okay, simple operation. Everybody knows by now that the testis needs 80 degree less, right? Outside. So the scrotum is almost outside, although it is intra-abdominal almost, but it is outside the abdomen. Yeah? Yes?
Does the presence of testes in the abdomen has any other effects?
No, not many effects. That will be little, it will not grow actually very well. Okay, I'm coming. Another bigger problem is not this one, and you will be surprised that what are the bigger problem. Bigger problem is that a boy, that you think that it is a boy, but in reality that the testis, the scrotum is very small, and the penile part is very small. You are not very sure whether it is a clitoris or you are dealing with the labia majora. You are not very sure. It's called ambiguous genitalia. Now in a hurry, because you are excited that you delivered the baby and you want to give it to the parents, you have a congratulations, you have a baby boy. Now that will hurt the parent, because in reality that may be a female baby which has a little bit of growth because of the adrenal cortex. Okay? You know that in adrenalplasia, that can create some extra testosterone. It is a female baby. Genetically, is a female. It's a 44XX. But see what you did a mistake. You mistake 2 things. Number one, you handed over the baby in a rush to the parents, and the parents think that it is my son. So they give a name like Muhammad or somebody like that, and the Muhammad growing over the time, and later realizes that I'm not a boy. You see the problem? It's a major problem over there. So I'm bringing you back over here that what is the importance of learning this embryological defect. There are many things I'll be talking to you. I'll be talking to you also like somebody's penile part is not very straight when it's erected. It will be like a little bit curved or like this over here, and the urine is coming from the bottom. Okay, this is the problem. Congenital is called hypospadias. hypospedia. Now, these are the problems, you can fix it right away. You don't have to wait for 20 years, you can fix it. The pediatric problem should be fixed, can be fixed, has to be fixed at the very early period of life. If you don't do it, it's a miserable situation, you know. You have to understand that what can go wrong, and it's an ethical problem too. So I can give you lots of examples over there, but those problems are indicated in my PowerPoint, which I'm coming, okay? So what I'm trying to do, just like if you remember how I do it, I will explain the entire part, okay, the reproductive, the formation of the reproductive system, embryological basis of that. Maybe I'll take 15 to around half an hour maybe before I show the slides, okay? There are 51 slides maybe. I have 2 lectures. The first lecture is based on 33 PowerPoints. Okay? Many of the PowerPoints are very easy. Many of the PowerPoints need some concept. So I'm going to explain those concepts prior to that. So when you look at the PowerPoint tonight, try to see at least 31 or 33 PowerPoints out of 52. Okay? And the rest I will cover the next one. I'll revisit the whole thing and then do it. Before I start, I remember that I'm very fond of the gene expression for any embryological basis of the development. And we just did the USMLE, the NBME exam last Friday, and I see many questions are related to the gene expression. What are the genes, primary genes responsible for this? So I will be again talking about the reproductive system. You don't have to remember anything, just remember 2 important genes. One is called the WTN. You remember that?
Yes.
WTN gene, which is responsible for the kidney development. You remember long time back we talked about the kidney development.
WTA?
WTN. This WTN, if you remember, that there is a Wilms tumor, you forgot everything, I can understand that. Remember Wilms tumor?
Yeah.
That is suppression, So I just want you to remember a couple of genes. Retinoic acid, remember that?
Yeah.
That was, but not in this one. Every one has a different gene. So this is the WTN gene is primarily responsible for the formation of the intermediate mesoderm. I'm coming to that later. Yes, sorry? WNT, sorry, yes, sorry. WNT, that's what I'm mispronouncing. WNT. WNT gene is primarily responsible for the formation of the entire intermediate mesoderm. And the intermediate mesoderm has 2 parts. Everybody knows that one is the kidney part, one is the with the reproductive part. Okay? So WNT is primarily responsible for this. Now, what is the intermediate mesoderm? Let's go back again to understanding. If I do like this, if I bend you, everybody knows the outside is the ectoderm. This side is the endoderm, which is the GI system. And in between is the mesoderm. And the mesoderm is divided into 3 parts: paraxial mesoderm, intermediate mesoderm, and the lateral mesoderm, which are basically folds to give you the cavity. Right? Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So that intermediate mesoderm, I'm just talking to you right now, which is primarily responsible, is the WNT gene is doing that, intermediate mesoderm. So I put one side of the intermediate mesoderm. It is basically posterior abdominal wall. You remember posterior abdominal wall?
Yeah.
That is the intermediate mesoderm. And it is divided into 3 parts: pronephros, mesonephros, and metanephros. So pronephros goes away, and then the mesonephros is there, and the metanephros is the functional. Remember that kidney is concerned. So what is happening over here is very simple, that the only changes from my previous diagram is that I put something over here which is called the genital ridge. It appears around 4 to 5 weeks. It appears, okay? Then it grows. The genital ridge. This will be your future testis or the ovary. This should be the future ovary or the testis. Okay? And everybody knows that at the same time there will be a mesonephric duct is formed from the mesonephros, and it goes down and it joins with the kidney that forms the ureter. So the mesonephros is primarily responsible in the male for the vas deferens, everybody knows by now, and also the ureter in the male. In the female, this mesonephric duct obliterates. There is another duct is forming called paramesonephric duct. Okay? We did not talk last time too much, but I will be emphasizing in another diagram over here in a minute. So let's recapitulate what did I say. I just said, very simple, that why we are studying the embryology, because there are obvious, very common embryological problems associated with the birth of the baby. And you must identify those births right at the outset before it is too late. I gave some example. Then I just said that for reproductive one, you have to remember WNT gene, okay, is primarily responsible for this. And these are morphogenes. If you remember the morphogenes, retinoic acid, this, then Hedgehog factor, Hedgehog gene, etc. We talked about this. There are also transcription factor, PAX gene. So you don't have to remember many things. For this, WNT gene is very good. That's one gene is important for you. Then I said what it is coming from the intermediate mesoderm. Reproductive system is coming from the intermediate mesoderm. Now you forgot by this time, so where is the intermediate mesoderm? That's why I recapitulate one more time. That if you think about a baby, like this way, that's bending, like this way. So outside is the ectoderm. Then you have the mesoderm, which is divided into three parts. One is the paraxial mesoderm, which is the vertical column and the muscle. Then is the intermediate mesoderm, which is the posterior abdominal wall. Then the lateral mesoderm, which folds. And you have the endoderm, which is over here, which is the GI system. Period. So I have drawn over one part of the intermediate mesoderm. So you can see only one kidney. Intermediate mesoderm is divided into three parts: pronephros, mesonephros, metanephros. And the metanephros has the permanent kidney. This is the temporary. But what is important, mesonephros, in this context, that you have an additional thing is coming, which is called the genital ridge. Now I put some drawing over here. Genital ridge has some cells. These cells are called the primordial germ cell. That actually determines whether it will be an ovary or it will be a testis. Okay? The germ cell. And a factor which we call the TDF. Okay? TDF factor is called the testis determining factor, which is basically Y chromosome. Okay? So in presence of the Y chromosome, this will be a testis. In absence of that, it will be an ovary. The testis and the ovary, the structures and the morphology and the origin is basically the same. Remember, male and female, I'm going to give you some scenario, then it will open up your mind. Okay? The testis and ovary basically the same. Okay? And the ovary descends, testis also descends. But the ovary, equivalent to the scrotum in the female, can anybody tell what is the equivalent of scrotum in the female? Labia majora. How many students know that? Half of the students know, maybe 10 students know that. 1/3 of the students. Okay. I'm talking about the scrotum versus the equivalent scrotum in the female. Okay? And labia majora is the correct answer. Okay? You will see the male has, and in the embryological, and it is a male has also the uterus. Oh, I never heard of that. Where is the uterus? All of us, where is the uterus? In the prostate, yes. It's a prostatic utricle. Prostate. So we'll learn that later, not today. I'll explain to that a little later in the next class. So it is exactly the same thing. Something is obliterating, something is staying. So think about it. For the male and the female, this genital ridge remains the same. So therefore, there will be ovary, there will be the testis. But what is the basic difference? Is the Y chromosome. What is this Y chromosome coming? It's coming from these primordial germ cells. What are those cells? These cells actually come from the yolk sac. Early part of the wall of the yolk sac, then slowly they trickle down, and then by the time they come over here, it's almost 4 to 5 weeks old, then they slowly come, because this takes a couple of weeks to grow. Genital ridge doesn't come very quickly. Okay? And then there will be ovary, and there will be a testis, and then based on some hormonal production, then it will be a male baby and the female baby. Sometimes the parents are very aggressive in telling that, particularly in this part of the world, they want to know whether I have a male baby or the female baby, isn't it? That a pregnant lady wants to know right away, or the dad wants to know that whether it's a male or the female baby. Now they cannot get that information unless the baby is at least 10 to 12 weeks old. Because you can understand, this is coming 4 to 5 weeks, then the 7th week, the differentiation starts, whether it will be ovary, or then it will have to descend a little bit, then the penile form based on that hormone, then there will be scrotum, testes, and whether it will be clitoris or it will be the penis. All these things will be, it takes a little time. So ultrasound will show you whether it's a vagina or a scrotum. So that takes almost 10 to 12 weeks.
You said that the differentiation is in the 7th?
The differentiation means, yeah, the starts.
So why can't
The differentiation very minute way, in a cellular way, but the macroscopic one, it takes another 2-3 weeks. So 10 to 12 weeks is the difference. Because ultrasound is not microscopic, it's a differentiation. Yeah, you can do the other test. This is the easy one. You can take the amniotic fluid way ahead of time. But people don't, unless there is a birth defect, people don't do it. But so everybody is clear? This picture, I want everybody to say yes to me that you understand it.
Yes.
Yes, so it's very easy. There's nothing wrong. Now, I'm going to, not difficult, but to tell you that what is happening. The next diagram. So what I'm trying to do over here, what I'm trying to do over here, there is another tube is forming. It's called the paramesonephric duct. I talked about the mesonephric duct. So your answer will be, what is the mesonephric duct? It comes from the mesonephros. What does it do? It is forming the vas deferens in the male and the ureter. In the female, it obliterates, but it obliterates over here only. But it forms the ureter, because in female also they have ureter. That is coming over here. But this portion obliterates. So what is the extra thing for the female? They have another duct called paramesonephric duct. So I draw it over here. I say that besides this, there is another duct is forming over here. So this is called paramesonephric. Paramesonephric duct. So what happens is, in the female, the paramesonephric duct survives. Okay? In the male, it obliterates. Why? Let's see who can answer that. In the male,
Anti-mural hormone?
yes. Yeah, it's called the Mullerian inhibitory substance. Mullerian, I tell you. Hang on, it's very important. Mullerian inhibitory substance. Where did you learn this thing? Yeah, very good. Okay, good. So Mullerian is coming from where? Very good. From the Sertoli cell. Sertoli cells is present only in the testes. So try to understand that the testis is growing because it has the Y chromosome and a testis determining factor I'm talking about, TDF. So testis is growing, and then Sertoli cells is also coming in place. It is producing an inhibitory substance, so there will be no paramesonephric duct. Paramesonephric duct, other name of the paramesonephric duct is Mullerian duct. Mullerian duct, so nothing. But if the Mullerian duct is present, then you know that inhibitory substance is not there. That means it is an ovary. Is that okay? In ovary, there is no Sertoli cell. There is no inhibitory factor, so paramesonephric duct can survive. So how does it look like, paramesonephric duct? In my drawing, very simple drawing I'm making it. So here is the duct, one side. Here is the another duct, the paramesonephric duct. So what I'm doing over here? What did I produce over here? It is the uterus. It is a fallopian tube and the uterus. So it's very easy, an upper part of the vagina. In my drawing, only upper part of the vagina. So the paramesonephric duct is forming. Paramesonephric duct is only in the female. Why I explained to you. They come from both sides. and join in the center to form the uterus and the fallopian tube and the upper part of the vagina. That's it. Okay. Now